Welcome to the podcast. Yep.
Sorry about that, guys. Hello, everybody.
No worries. I've got these weird aversions. I've got an aversion to the word tummy. I think we've talked about that here. I've got an aversion to watching people eat bananas, not even men, just people eat bananas and put chapstick on it. I have no idea why. It's just one of those things. And I have a massive aversion. Boomer is on it today. I got a massive aversion to, all the hair that builds up in the drain of your bathtub with all the
that's
all the
gross.
Scum and gunk.
That's gross.
Like,
I have an aversion to that. Everybody has an aversion to that.
No, but my version is one of those things where it's like I look at it and I retch. Like it's unnatural. I could watch surgery, Dr. Pimple Popper videos all day long, but that drain full of scummy shampoo hair.
That is there's no good that comes out of that. No. Yeah. No, I hear you on that one. What are we talking about here? We got so many other things to do.
I know. Welcome to the FiveStack. We've got a packed show for you today. We got Trump selling pardons. We've got Trump going ham on Canada again, asking to be the 51st state. We've got an incredible Pete Hegseth wiretap story. We've got student visas that might be yanked for anybody who's in the United States. It's like Donald Trump is on the fucking warpath to tell everybody to stay out of a country that desperately needs tourism and money to come in. So I don't know where you want to start, my friend, but over to you.
Let's start at number 5. Then it's a good place to start. And the number 5 story is really all about the crackdown on foreign students coming to America. This is really turning into a whole witch hunt, and it's quite amazing what they're doing. So the Trump administration has ordered U.S. embassies worldwide to immediately stop scheduling visa interviews for all foreign students, expanding comprehensive social media screening to every international applicant. In other words, there's now a directive saying that they can check every social media post you've ever put out there if you're a global student applying for a visa. Anything, you name it. It's not only a screening for Palestinian stuff, it's just anything you've ever posted, they'll be screening that and making sure if you can be a foreign student in this country. They've already turned away thousands of people. And what's interesting here is this is another hit on the economy, because guess what? Yeah. By getting rid of those foreign students, $44 billion of economic contribution is then taken away from America. 1.1 million international students don't show up, and 378,000 American jobs created by those international students also disappear. So this is just a stupid policy, but it's also the most extreme bits of surveillance anyone has ever been put through.
Yeah, not just surveillance. I mean, you're talking about killing different schools, right? Which is his goal. It's not just about making people uncomfortable, making people fear him, fear the United States, fear coming here. It's not just about the stories that we hear from students who got wrapped up in that CCOT stuff, people that were targeted by ICE from different countries who, their visa was coming to an end. They're applying for green cards so they can stay in the country, applying for student visas so they can stay in the country. Hundreds, and I mean hundreds of those students got pulled into detention centers for days, some even weeks. Some actually got sent to CCOT. Some were sent to Sudan, as I understand it. Tried to send them to Sudan. So, if you back up a little bit, you can kind of get a full view of what Trump is trying to accomplish and what he's trying to accomplish. And by the way, this will never work, right? The Supreme Court is going to say, no, you can't do that, you fucking moron. The judges are going to say, no, you can't do that, you fucking moron. So part of this is a distraction to take away from how limp-dicked he is around Vladimir Putin at the moment, what happened yesterday in Canada. So that feeds into it, where the king comes to town, tears a strip off him. Canada decides, and we'll get to that in a minute, we're going to go it alone, fuck you and your military. So a lot of these are distractive, tweets and distractive policies that he's trying to put out that are exorbitantly mean. And when you add up the price tag, to your point, $44 billion is what it will cost. 1.1 million students who are in the country or have been accepted to school legally through viable processes to get into the country, to educate themselves, and to give different institutions anywhere from $20,000 US dollars to $200,000 US dollars a year, depending on the school you got into, right? So, there's this idea out there that he's just targeting students because he's mean. No, he's not. He's trying to distract everybody. But what he's also trying to do is take a giant leak in Harvard's soup. He's trying to tell Ivy League schools, who are largely foreign educated, there aren't a lot of The majority of students that go to those Ivy League schools are not from the United States of
Well,
America.
33%, but are foreign students apparently.
Foreign students, which is
Yeah.
enormous, right? Like it is a huge fucking number. And if it's anything like Canada, and I'll kind of explain this here in Canada, foreign students have to pay somewhere between 3 to 6 times what a Canadian student has to pay to go
Exactly.
to a post secondary institution. So not only would this cripple Harvard, cripple Princeton, cripple Yale, cripple Oxford, it would cripple a whole bunch of schools like the UCLA, USC. So this is one of those dumb things this dotard has done, this vile piece of shit has done to send a charge into academic institutions in the United States of America to let them know that he's going to fuck with them as much as they can and he's going to make life difficult for them as much as they can. And I talked to a friend of mine about this very subject this morning. I'm like, what do you think? He's an educator. He's the dean of an institution here in Canada. We'll go remain nameless. And he's like, it's virtually impossible. And here in Canada, I don't know if you listened to the throne speech. Mark Carney, well, the King of England, through Mark Carney, said, "Yeah, we're going to cap student visas and immigration visas coming up this next year because it is largely unfair to the people in this country who are trying to get into schools when those spots aren't there, when they don't exist. It increases housing prices, et cetera, et cetera." So that was our way of dealing with it. Donald Trump is just going to threaten the shit out of people, specifically schools that his kid didn't get into. So there you go.
Well, this is what Donald Trump is saying. He's saying that these spots are actually used for taking up positions that Americans could be taking. So that's the same argument he's using. However, in this case, a lot of people are going to just change their minds. They're not going to go to the schools of their choice because they're going to find other institutions, and they're not going to, sit around waiting for these court hearings. We're talking about $6.4 billion just in Massachusetts, $3.9 billion. Sorry, to California was $6.4 billion, 3.9 to Massachusetts, and Texas could lose $2.5 billion. So this is a significant amount of money that is also money that is going to cancer research and other important research that these universities do that actually saves lives. So you're taking away not only these foreign students' dreams, but all this
Research
money
funding.
that's going to be funding all this research is going to disappear. It really is a concerted effort to turn America into the dark ages. I mean, it really, no research, no proper health policy. They're not even appearing. They're going to use the Lancet Journal or the medical journals anymore to publish any government research. I mean, they really are, turning away from science in a way that is quite frightening.
Science and academics, right? Anybody who's intelligent. Listen, and I've got this theory that we're in a pandemic of stupid. We just went through a pandemic of COVID. Now we're in a pandemic of stupid. Now, one of the things that really dawned on me over the past, I would say, 2 months is Donald Trump is to a stupid hillbilly, is to a low IQ individual who's obviously racist, who doesn't understand how the world works, who isn't educated and feels shitty about themselves because they're not, and they know it. Donald Trump is literally their guiding light. He's their North Star because they look at him and they go, we have one of us in office. He's the president of the United States. We've got a dumb person in charge, and we're dumb too. And deep down, they know it. They don't say these things, but this is how they feel. If you get a vibe from any of these people and their anger literally sits around how they feel about themselves. And Donald Trump knows he's an idiot. He really does, and he knows he's a con man. He really does. Deep down, all of his army of maggots, they all know they're stupid too. And so this is also like a hat tip to all the stupids in America, where it's like, we're not going to let them damned elites tell us what to do. We're gonna tell them what to do. We're gonna prevent all those smart people from coming into the country and fuck them. And it's literally this populist like vibe that he's putting out, where America's dumbest. And it happens here in Canada too. Pierre Poilievre tried to do it. He's like, listen, you don't need to go to university. You need to twist a wrench. And you're like, no, what if I don't want to twist a wrench? Well, we're going to give grants to people to twist wrenches and, fuck anybody that wants to get their master's degree. That is literally part of what's happening here.
He said it today. He said he was going to give the $3 trillion, whatever it is, $3 billion. I think it's trillion actually, to trade schools in order.
Yeah, there you go.
But meanwhile, the same big beautiful bill that he has in about to go through Congress actually makes it much harder for people to access trade schools. That's how incoherent all the policy is. He's saying that that's the case, but in reality, they don't want anyone educated at all. They want people kept, as you point out, stupid and uninvolved, which is exactly what they're going to get. While he's destroying the education economy, he's also threatening America's food supply. So this story really caught my eye. He's got all these people he's deporting, right? America's farms depend on 300,000 H2A guest workers and hundreds of thousands of undocumented immigrants. But Trump's mass deportation threats and unclear visa policies are creating chaos in agriculture. Farmers say there is flat out nobody else willing to do the work, with some spending over $30 an hour for guest workers now who must leave their families without these for 8 months yearly. Without these workers, farms that have operated for generations face closure, potentially turning agricultural land into housing developments. What a shock to the system that we can not only not afford to pick the food is going to get much more expensive because the labor force we can get is paying, so we have to pay them so much. What a terrible thing for the economy.
Yeah, it's a terrible thing for the economy, but if you're hungry and you can't find cucumbers and almonds and anything else that gets picked, don't worry about it because Donald Trump did it. Immigrant farm workers, this is an interesting stat. I read it yesterday. Make up 73% of agriculture workers in the United States. Over half of those are undocumented. And the reason why they work for those wages, those low wages, is because they are undocumented or they're in the country and can't find a job, don't speak the language. So they talk to a buddy. They say, hey, listen, let's go pick some fruit. And they're like, okay. And this is not meant to be racist or misogynistic or any of the other things that anybody's going to try and hang on me for saying that. Because these people are working hard to feed their families and looking for a better life in the United States. Americans seem to have found one for $5 to $7 an hour, if that, right? These loopholes exist for a reason. Farms are generally run by immigrants. Farms are staffed by immigrants to the tune of 73% of all agricultural products being on the shelf because 73% of the workforce is undocumented and they're immigrants. So, to your point, together, the food and agriculture sector in the United States is $1.53 trillion. That's what it's worth on a yearly basis. So if you cut out 73% of those workers, you're cutting out 73% of those profits. You're cutting out 73% of that 1.3 trillion, which let's just call it 1 trillion, $730 million. $730 million just because the guy's an asshole, just because he's trying to dog whistle to the maggot crew.
And he's deporting all these people. I mean, the fact is, we've said it all along, this immigration policy is complete bullshit because we need people in this country who can do this work. These are the people who have been doing this work. It's why we've had these policies. So to suddenly deport all these people, threaten anyone from coming into the country, close the border in the way that they have with all these unusual, army bases and whatever it is they're putting along the border, is actually stopping the economy. I mean, what you're actually doing is halting your ability to produce, as you point out, trillions of dollars worth of food, which is feeding your nation. And I mean, which American president thinks it's a great idea to not have enough, food supply for his people?
This one. Yeah, this one. And listen, let me just add another cherry on top of the lack of immigrant workers and farms going under, not being able to produce food, pick food, get food to the market, get food to you in your supermarket. Dock workers, 40% closeout. Yesterday, I believe, the VP of the Los Angeles Dock Association basically said, hey, listen, we had to lay off 40% of our staff because we don't have anything coming into the country from anywhere. It doesn't matter if it's toys or food. So empty shelves are coming. And then you talk about sustainability. That's not going to happen in the United States either because he's gutted sustainability or the ability to even look like you're sustainable or even feed your own fucking country. And it is by design. This is not like some idiot running around making bad decisions going, whoops. This is an idiot going around intentionally doing this to signal to his base of legitimately rabid hillbillies that he's going to take care of the people that don't look like us problem. He's going to hit back at China. He's going to hit back at this country. He's going to hit back at Canada. And it's that cult of personality that keeps those people coming back for more. But I'll tell you something. And I said this the other day, that in America's consumer pig economy, right? This is the kind of thing that people will take up arms over. This is the kind of thing that starts civil wars. When you can't eat, doesn't matter who you fucking voted for. When you can't feed your family, ask the people in Gaza how that's going. When you can't feed your family, you take up arms and you go looking for blood. And I wouldn't doubt for a second that we're 3 months away, maybe 4, from all the maggots that are still standing there going, yeah, this is a good idea, from going, this isn't working. We need to do something and we need to get rid of this guy because my children are starving. That's what's going to happen next.
You know what? I actually fear you're absolutely right. And I was just thinking a little while ago, they're sort of building the environment of a total system collapse, like
Yeah.
a complete system collapse where you have none of the resources you need. You don't have
No
FEMA,
necessities.
you
Yep.
don't have food. I bet the technological resources that we're used to, the internet, just the tech that we need in our world, that's going to start potentially collapsing. You've got energy that's going to not be available to you. You're going to have. I'm hypothesizing here. I don't have proof of all of this, but it does feel like they're building an environment where a total system collapse could happen.
Mhm.
And if that total system collapse happens, it creates the absolute perfect environment for a civil war or chaos or anarchy in a way that we've never really seen before in America or any sophisticated society.
And you know what? Let me just kind of add this little chestnut in. I don't know if you're
Mm.
watching the pardon parade, the Trump
Hmm.
pardon parade. No
Yeah.
MAGA left behind. Ed Martin
Hmm.
put that tweet out yesterday. I put a story out on my Twitter, on my, on my Substack about it, deanblundell.substack.com, where you
Hmm.
can read about it, some of the people that he's pardoning. He's pardoning every criminal who loves him. He's
Yeah.
pardoning every supporter with money. He's pardoning every J6er who is violent for him.
Hmm.
This is about two things. It's about preparing for what's coming and building an army of criminals and violent criminal offenders so that he can do exactly what Vladimir Putin did with the Wagner Group. He can do exactly what Viktor Orban is doing. He can do exactly what these countries who have dictators who celebrate criminality, they're really loose on criminal activity because they themselves are criminals. And Ruth
Hmm.
Ben Giat, she's an authoritarian
Yeah. I know
expert.
Ruth. Yeah.
She's incredible. She put out a great article the other day on what has to exist for a dictatorship to be born, for you to turn a country from a democracy into an authoritarian regime. And it is literally to the playbook. You pardon all the criminals that like you give them a second chance, they give you fealty, and then you've got an army of idiots for life that will do anything that you want them to do, from Todd and Jen Crisley to this gentleman named Wakok, I think his name is. His mother gave $1 million to Donald
This is
Trump, to this
Paul Walzak, I think.
Balzac,
He
whatever.
stole over $10 million from a nursing home
Yeah.
and employees' paychecks to buy luxury yachts and Cartier watches.
Yeah.
And he's received a full presidential pardon just 3 weeks after his mother, Elizabeth Fargo, attended $1 million per person fundraising event at Mar-a-Lago. So Walzik was sentenced to 18 months in prison and ordered to pay $4.4 million in restitution before Trump wiped the slate clean, proving
Mhm.
that in Trump's America, justice literally is just for sale. It really
Yeah.
is. $1
And
million
he's
will get you to walk away. You don't
his
have to say
mother's
you're
a
sorry.
multimillionaire. Paul Walcock or whatever his
Mm,
name is, Balzac. I don't know
yeah,
what his name is.
Walzak.
Sure, whatever. Let's put them
Walzak.
together.
Yeah.
Paul Balzac.
Yeah.
He's now got 4.4 million he can give to Trump out of fealty.
Mm,
Scott Jenkins, the U.S. sheriff that was selling badges for
yeah.
$75,000 a piece. He's loaded with money and he's a law enforcement officer. So he gets his stuff wiped clean. He can go back to work and fight for Trump. So he's literally collecting all of these degenerate fucking losers
Mhm.
to be his own Wagner Group, militia, bank account, all these things that you watch, all the things that you're seeing today. And he's getting paid for it along the
Proud
way.
Boys emerged again.
There you
So you can
go.
add them to the groups. I mean,
Yep.
you are thinking, I mean, this really does feel like that. Because why else would you be doing this? Why else would you create an environment where there are no resources left for the people of America? Why would you be stripping government to such a point where they can't even operate the normal services that you'd expect to stop pandemics or to stop outbreaks of measles or anything else like that? You know, the minute you take away sanitation, the minute you take away power, the minute you take away any of these things, that's how you get conditions for pandemics to break out. That's how you get those things. So it's and I don't know. I mean, when was the last time you backed up everything you've done digitally onto something that either on hard copy or backed up? I mean, it's a good question to ask because if you're at home, you get your backup.
Every day on this
Yeah,
bad boy. Yeah. And then I
because
unplug it. Yeah.
because at the end of the day, everything is so vulnerable to just, who was it yesterday? Scott Pelley was saying you can change history, you can rewrite history. Everything we do is so digitally recorded. If you wanted to just erase a whole bunch of history, you could just erase it if you could have the access to it because
Mhm.
it's just about, wiping out everyone's databases or digital access. So, I'm being a bit a bit conspiratorial here because I don't have any evidence of
I
this,
kind of
but
like it though. I
but
don't
it
think you're
worries
far
me.
off, dude. Like you
I'm a
haven't been
little
wrong yet.
worried, and I'm kind of sober minded about these things. I like to think about these things very carefully, but I think that we're just in a very, I don't, everything's making me feel so uneasy right now in what's going on. So it's it's an opinion. That's an opinion. It's not a fact. So I'll just underline that. But I'm curious if everyone else feels the same way. Should we move on to story number? That was all, by the way. Story number 5. Wow.
That was a healthy story 5.
Yeah. And 4,
Zev.
actually. It was number 4. Yeah, it was a very good.
Okay, good.
Okay, so
I
let's
thought
do
we were
story
about
number.
to.
Let's do number 3, which is so Trump has offered Canada another 51st state deal. Trump posted on social media that he told Canada it'll cost them $61 billion with a B if they remain a separate but unequal nation, but it will cost $0 in capital letters if they become our cherished 51st state. The president claiming that Canada very much wants to be part of our fabulous Golden Dome system and says they are considering the offer, which of course they're not. Golden Dome system doesn't even exist yet. It's an idea. This latest territorial expansion fantasy follows his threats against Greenland, Panama, and other countries and reveals Trump's imperial ambitions as well as his complete naivety that this thing's ever going to get built.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me walk you through that if I
can. Are you considering the deal up there in Canada?
No.
You must be considering this deal.
No, strangely enough, no one's considering the deal in Canada. I saw that tweet yesterday, the Truth Social thing, and I fucking laughed.
Yeah.
Like I laughed out loud. I'll read it to you. Let me just read this to you. This is, and I'll tell you why he did it in a second, but let me just read you his latest salvo to Canada, his latest offer to Canadians. It's fucking great. It's from the real Donald Trump Truth Social account. Donald J. Trump says, I told Canada, which very much wants to be part of our fabulous Golden Dome system, Golden Dome system, that it'll cost $61 billion if they remain separate but unequal nation, but will cost, that doesn't make any sense, but unequal nation, a lot of commas in there, but will cost $0 if they become our cherished 51st state. And then he says, and this is what made me laugh out loud, like I guffawed. It's not a word that gets used very often. They are considering the offer. They're considering it. That's what they're doing. Now, no, we're not. No. I had a conversation with someone in Carney's orbit yesterday after they launched this thing, sent the guy a text, and I'm like, what do you think? And he goes, and I'm paraphrasing, but what he effectively says is, dude, every single one of those things that he puts out, every time he puts it out, we all laugh. Yeah. And then we wait for his next Taylor Swift tweet, so he changes the channel. Not only is this dome not happening, it's metaphysically impossible to do it in the United States of America, according to every physicist, every defense expert, and everybody who knows anything about fucking domes and missiles and defending your country. They're like, that's the dumbest shit ever. Mm-hmm. And not only did he not broach the subject with Canada, he told Mark Carney he was going to do it and loosely, apparently, invited him in to take part in the dome. And from my sources, this is what I heard Mark Carney had said to him. Oh, that sounds great. Yeah, let's talk about that another time. And then he hung up the phone and went, Golden Dome. Golden Domes. This guy's so fucking stupid. He's got no idea what he's doing. And so that was a distraction. I don't know if you know what happened yesterday. He called Putin crazy, and then Putin went after him.
We're going to do that on number 1, but yes.
Yeah, we'll get there. So he's trying to distract from that. He's trying to
someone else in Carney's orbit yesterday that was kind of well known in Canada. There was a well known figure in that Carney world yesterday, as in the king.
Yeah.
That would have been a distraction from the king too, probably, is what you may be getting at.
Exactly. And then, of course, he had the King of England, who he fucking worships in Canada, basically giving Trump the high, hard middle finger from his throne speech, announcing that not only is Canada going to go it alone, Canada is now the new leader of the fucking free world. So that was bad for him and made him look like a moron and completely based the United States of America under the Trump regime. And then on top of it, you had Mark Carney deliver a stunning announcement in an interview with David Cochran from Power and Politics, where he's like, yeah, by July 1st, we're going to be military partners with the EU, and we're going to take part in the rearmament, and we're going to take part in procuring, developing, manufacturing $1.5 trillion worth of arms for ourselves, so we are completely independent of the United States of America. So within minutes of that, all of a sudden you get this tweet. So he's talking about defense, taking it all on our own, partnering with England, the UK, the EU, Oz, New Zealand, who, by the way, both those countries coming to the G7, which will be a lot of fun. And then you have Donald Trump go, Putin, Canada's making me look bad. Oh, the king. And he's like, hey, I told them 61 billion or it's free if you join Canada. So he revives that 51st state stuff. And where that gets interesting is the ambassador, I think I mentioned it yesterday, the ambassador to Canada is a guy named Pete Hoekstra, who's a total Trumper, was named the ambassador to Canada just after Trump got elected. And he's in town. He gives an interview with the CBC, and the reporter was like, "Hey, is the 51st state stuff dead?" He's like, "Oh yeah, we do. Yeah, it's all whatever. It's all good. Don't worry about it. Yeah. We're moving on." And he's like, and the woman was like, the reporter who was great. She just kept badgering him. She's like, "Are you sure it's done? Did he tell you it's done?" No, but you saw him and Carney. And she's like, "Yeah, I did. He said never, never, never." And Trump maintained that never say never, meaning it's not quite done. And then literally that podcast came out yesterday. I was listening to it as I was running errands. That podcast came out yesterday, and Trump doubled down yesterday, making Pete Hoekstra look like an idiot. And another great little piece of information I think a lot of Americans and Canadians would like to hear today is there's conversations happening right now about are are we within our rights to tell diplomats to get the fuck out of this country at this point? And it's not just America, it's Canada as well. Because
Mhm.
you've got a country that is assaulting an ally in the in Ukraine, and then you got another country to the south of you who's continuing to threaten
Oh,
taking
of
over
course, yeah.
Canada as the 51st
No
state.
reason why you couldn't.
Fully on board with sending the ambassador of the United States packing. Fully on
I
board.
mean, it's so. Firstly, there's some really great stories that you've posted on your Substack covering all of the stuff because it is so significant what Carney did, especially with the military announcement, saying that he's partnering with Europe to build a defense against MAGA, basically, that they're going to be investing trillions of dollars into the Canadian military industrial complex in order to build a competitor to the American military industrial complex, which is going
Yeah.
to include all the things that we used to get from America, or that Canadians used to get from America, but we're not going to get them anymore from America. We're going to build them ourselves. I mean, this is such a fundamentally big shift in policy and in alliances and in the way the world works. And, does it potentially portend a world war? Maybe it does. But on the other hand, it certainly means that Canada is quite deliberately said it is not having anything to do with MAGA or Trump or anything like it. And it's not going to have anything to do with MAGA or Trump or anything like it.
No, absolutely. And that was one of the caveats that Carney made in that interview with David Cochran on Power and Politics. He's like, we've been too dependent for too long. We don't want to be dependent on the United States anymore. We wanted to be dependent on ourselves. We want to chart our own course. And so with that, of course, comes that energy corridor that Carney promised to build. But July 1st was the date that he put on it. This is lightning
Mm.
fast. And if you don't think that some of those agreements aren't already wink, handshake signed, you're crazy. They already are. I know that we have a very robust deal with France coming. I know that we've already struck an agreement with the United Kingdom. I know that we've already struck an agreement with Sweden, Finland. I know that we already struck an agreement with Ukraine. We have a
Mm.
lot to learn from Ukraine about drone warfare.
For
I
sure.
know
They're
that
the
there are
leaders.
several conversations going on right now about turning Canada into the Western drone capital of the world. So,
Hmm.
like this is happening. These are not words. This isn't
Yeah.
rhetoric. And Mark Carney made sure that everybody knew that yesterday.
And the lightning speed part of it is very, very real. I mean, he is moving at a rate that is not very much associated with Canada. We normally think
No,
of Canada as being kind of slow, deliberate, and behind, but that's not what's happening here. This is a
no.
very fast moving thing.
Yeah,
Um,
and real quick, let me just
yeah.
kind of add a
Hmm.
little piece of that, if I can,
Yeah, of course.
Zev. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Not.
he said yesterday in the same interview, he's like, "Listen, we're going to do this. We're going to turn it into a contest, but
Mhm.
we are going to wipe out regulation. We're going to wipe out any red tape so that we can do this. Because not only can we will." So that's a guy that holds all the cards. Donald Trump likes to talk about cards. Mark Carney holds all the cards.
Mhm.
And if every MP, as charged by King Charles in the throne speech yesterday, takes their job fucking seriously and believes in Canada's sovereignty, it's going to happen in the next year to 2 years. Watch.
So to summarize, that's a no to the Golden Dome. Donald Trump. Uh,
Thanks, but no thanks to
yeah.
your golden dome.
Keep your
Yeah.
golden dome.
It's all good.
Defense Secretary Pete, this is number 2. This story
Oh,
is amazing because it
oh,
is about the biggest scandal, I think, since Watergate, and I'm not overstating that, I don't think. So Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's Pentagon is embroiled in what I think is a Watergate type scandal. So there are allegations that have emerged that he illegally used the NSA to wiretap his own senior aides in order to figure out who was leaking material. The NSA is not meant to do that. No one's actually meant to. It's completely illegal, completely unconstitutional to be, wiretapping anything. And his own personal lawyer, Tim Parlatore, is the guy who's in charge of the investigation. He's the guy who actually let it be known that there were wiretaps. And then he retracted that because he was like, oops, maybe I shouldn't have said that there were wiretaps because my client might have been involved in something completely illegal and unconstitutional. So now the White House is saying, well, we want nothing to do with this whole thing about this leak investigation. We don't believe there were wiretaps, but we are stepping away from all of this stuff. But what it really is remaining a very serious question is, did the Secretary of Defense actually wiretap his staffers? Did he actually spy on his senior staffers?
he did.
And who else is he spying on? Who else is everybody being spied on? It's not the way things are done.
No.
It's a major, 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 major scandal that could be the size of Watergate.
Well, let's be honest. This is the same guy who shared classified war information on Signal and sent his wife a couple of texts going, "Baby, we're bombing the shit out of the Houthis right now. We have all these places." I mean, he shared them with his brother, shared them with his mother, shared them with his fucking babysitter. He's like,
Houthis as well.
Look at how cool the Houthis. Yeah, they got it. So the details of this are really funny, and I'm just reading this. White House advisors reportedly shocked when Tim Parlatore, I don't know how they could be shocked with anything to do with Pete Hegseth, but they are. Tim Parlatore, Hegseth's personal lawyer, to your point, was tasked with overseeing the investigation into a series of leaks. So they're finding all these people that were singing about how fucking dumb and illegal Pete Hegseth was prior to this. And so to stop those leaks, they wiretapped people, which is 1,000% illegal. Wiretapped his own employees
through the NSA. Through the NSA. They didn't even choose an outside company. They actually did it inside to the NSA to do it. They didn't have to go to Pegasus or anything. They just, hey, we'll connect the dots for everybody.
Yeah. We got all this stuff, right? Yeah. Oh, let's just do it ourselves.
Wiretap the chief of staff.
No one will find out. And these people, they're also stupid. They found out when Parlatore came into the White House and told advisors, yeah, so we wiretapped a bunch of people. We found out that the guy in charge of the leaks, the guy that was doing the leaks, was former senior advisor to Hegseth, a guy named Dan Caldwell. And they're like, whoa, you did what? And they're like, yeah, we did that. And they're like, that's illegal. And Tim Parlatore, seasoned lawyer, is like, how's I supposed to know?
Because you're a lawyer, and the Secretary of Defense is your client who's committing the crimes that are associated with this. And so
how was I supposed to know?
Hey, I'm just a lawyer. But on top of this, there's now a cover-up, right? Because now they're denying it. But clearly it's true, because how could you make up this stuff? It wouldn't be like it was made up. So now the White House is implicit or complicit or whatever you want to say it in a cover-up for Pete Hegseth. And that's, means the president is involved and the president's team are involved in a cover-up of an enormous scandal at the Department of Defense, at the Pentagon, where the Secretary of Defense, who's, known to be a bit of a loose cannon, is wiretapping his senior staff and firing them based on evidence that he discovered from those wiretaps.
Which is 1,000, as I said before, percent illegal. Listen, it's a cacistocracy. We know what that is, right? It's when you put idiots in charge of things, and those things being different avenues that run a country. It's funny because had I heard a story like this 10 years ago, I'd be like, whoa, that's fucking crazy. But if you're surprised by this at this point, you haven't been paying attention. These are the dumbest people in America. This is a Fox News weekend anchor, a drunk Fox News weekend anchor who's so paranoid, like everybody else in the administration, in the regime, so paranoid that he wiretapped the people that he hired to help him do the job he was supposed to do because he wanted to make sure no one was talking smack about him. That's
Mm.
literally what happened. Like this is like this is Hitler's time, the paranoia of Hitler, the paranoia of Putin. This is the paranoia, and the reason why they're paranoid is deep down. And I said this earlier about the morons in MAGA that are like deep down they know they're stupid. Deep down, so does Pete Hegseth. Pete
Oh yeah.
Hegseth knows he is wholly unqualified. That is the only reason, and he knows he's a fucking piece of shit. That's the only reason why he's wiretapping his people, Sev.
Do you know what his real job is meant to be? He's meant to be building the Golden Dome, but he's got other priorities, you know. So there goes the Golden Dome.
The
It's not going to
Golden
happen.
Dome. Oh, what are we going to do about the Golden Dome?
It's
That
not
guy was supposed to
happening.
build the Golden Dome.
Too busy wiretapping my own chief of staff to
Hey,
possibly
how
build.
was I supposed to know? And you know, the great part about this
It's
is that
illegal?
we're gonna what? I can't believe it. The great part about this is that we're gonna get Trump. We're gonna get Trump at doing one of those hilarious, like when someone asks him about it, he's
Yeah.
gonna be like this. I guess I'm not in charge of the Department of Defense.
Pete
I
who?
don't
Who's
know.
Pete Hegseth?
What's a Hegseth? I
Yeah.
have no idea.
You haven't met him? Oh, that guy. Oh yeah, yeah. I had nothing to do with that guy.
Yeah, no,
Um,
that's not me.
Yeah, it's exactly what he's going to do. I mean, but this is a really big scandal. No one's paying attention to it really yet, and I hope they do because it's a really really big one. The number one story is this Trump Putin feud. You referred to it earlier on. It's a really significant story. So we've got these guys are now publicly fighting with each other. Is it real?
It's a bit of a lovers' quarrel, isn't it? An online lovers' quarrel.
It feels like it. I mean, we had a Trump-Putin bromance up until now, but then yesterday, Deputy Security Council Chairman, what a title, for Russia, Dmitry Medvedev, threatened World War III after Trump called Putin absolutely crazy. He said bad things were coming for Russia, and then Medvedev said, "Well, the only bad things I know that could be so bad is World War III." And then we've got also, we mentioned yesterday, a couple of Russian-linked senators in Rand Paul and in Ron Johnson who are sort of criticizing this bill, this big, beautiful bill, which is really uncharacteristic because they traditionally are very aligned with the Trump administration. And then on top of it, the other Russian asset, Elon Musk, comes out today and criticizes the big, beautiful bill too, saying, he doesn't believe that it's the right policy because you can't have both big and beautiful in this type of bill. So you got three key Russian affiliated people in Washington, or at least related to Washington, coming out against Trump's policies. And you've got this fight about between Putin and Trump about the war in Ukraine. Now, it could be this is just like a staged brinkmanship. It could be that they're just like,
Yep.
yeah, or they could really be having a fight. I mean, I doubt they're really having a fight. I think what they're doing is buying time. But what's your take?
Yeah, my take. It's funny because I actually was lucky enough to talk to Lev Parnas today at length. Yeah. Oh, he's awesome. Yeah, and I asked him about that. I'm like, because he put out a great post on his Substack. Go to Lev Parnas at Substack.com to read it. It talks about how his inner circle is literally breaking apart and laughing at Donald Trump. Well, I asked him. I said, so his inner circle is collapsing, but that inner circle that's really his outer circle, guys like Trump, guys like Xi are openly mocking him now. Medvedev saying, "Hey, you know what's really scary? World War III, you idiot." And then the Chinese government, Peskov yesterday said something to the effect of, "Hey, if you don't like it, wait till tomorrow and he'll tweet something else. No big deal." Like openly mocking Donald Trump. And if you know Donald Trump, and I don't, but if you know about what's important to him, it's what people think about him. He lives in this weird silo. So that drove him fucking crazy yesterday. And also contributed to his tweet about Canada's strongly considering joining the Golden Dome system because he wanted to change the channel. Well, you can't change a channel when the people that you're protecting, specifically from a tweet that he put out yesterday about Putin, when Peskov shot back, Trump put out a tweet basically saying, "Hey, Putin, you have no idea what I've protected you from. It could have been much worse for you. Get it together." That was an admission of treason. That was an admission that he's been protecting Vladimir Putin for a very long time. And he's basically done everything Putin wanted him to do. So Putin really doesn't need him anymore. He has destroyed America's ability to support Ukraine. He won't even sell equipment to Ukraine. Never mind give equipment to Ukraine to stop an authoritarian terrorist regime from destroying Ukraine and moving into Europe. He's done everything. He's poisoned the well. And he's taken away all U.S. aid and support for Ukraine. So Putin doesn't need him anymore. He's like, fuck you. I don't have to have it. So Lev's assessment was, yes, that's part of it, but it's also a song and dance between these two. It's the push and pull, trying to convince people that he's standing up to Putin, because Donald Trump can only just insult Volodymyr Zelensky so much before people start going, you're a fucking Russian asset. So he thinks it's one and the other, not one or the other. And he still thinks that Putin is largely done with a very performative Donald Trump.
I agree with all of that, but I would also say that in today's press conference, Trump said that he was going to take another 2 weeks to figure out if Putin's really, screwing him or not. Then when he said another 2 weeks, we've been waiting for so many 2 weeks. Every time he needs another delay, Trump or Putin says, hey, we'll let you know in 2 weeks. We'll meet with each other in 2 weeks. We'll wait for the next call, and we'll have another call, and then we'll wait for another
Not
call.
day one, apparently. 2 weeks now, yeah.
So everything is 2 weeks away, 2 weeks away, 2 weeks away. We just had 2 weeks ago, they were meant to reach an agreement in Istanbul. Yep. And that never happened. And then they're going to meet again now after 2 weeks, and that didn't. They met, but that didn't happen. And now they're having a feud, a spat. I think they're buying time. I don't think that there is a real feud here. I think they're buying time, and I think in that buying time, there's some really scary things going on. They're building up war resources along the Lithuanian-Polish border, which are
Finnish border,
border that are kind of like, why are you doing that? You're engaged in another war in Ukraine. Why are you building up bases along those borders unless you're going to use those bases for something? There are reports, unconfirmed, but there's some reports that people are concerned about a Lithuanian invasion into parts of Lithuania. I don't know if that's true, but there's a sense that this is going to get much bigger. I think, and this is a way for them to play for time, to keep pummeling the Ukrainians, to keep moving maybe their resources around and to plan for whatever it is they're doing. And that's probably the most concerning thing. People don't throw around World War III. They
Russia
do.
does.
Russia does. But it's a hell of a thing to be throwing around all the time.
Yeah.
And they certainly have the capability to start one.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think a couple of things. I think Russia is slowly running out of ammunition. That much we know. So that is a huge blessing for Ukraine and every ally that supports them. And then you look at international support and how that really changed yesterday, because Russia pounded over 1,000 drones and ballistic missiles over a 3-day period, as you pointed out in a great piece, and yesterday on the FiveStack, Ukraine over the previous 3 days, and did it again yesterday. Well, Ukraine answered yesterday, and they answered because Chancellor Merz, Starmer, and Macron took the wheels off. They said, "Hey, you know what? There's no longer a geography ban when it comes to who and what you can attack in Russia. Go for it. We're going to support you and stand behind you. We will flood the zone with as much ammo, as much as you need. Go." And it happened yesterday. Dozens of strikes against really serious military targets from Ukraine into Russia, which Russia then tried to portray as Ukraine's attacking our civilian infrastructure. And what are we going to do? You guys are the worst. Oh, Ukraine tried to shoot down Putin's helicopter. Oh, no. None of that happened. But Ukraine struck serious military targets, installations, ammo depots, and staging areas, dozens of them yesterday. And that's gone under the radar, and it hasn't been reported. But that was, to me, a sign of something more serious to come.
Yeah.
Because now that the wheels are off, the training wheels are off, Ukraine's ability to be able to respond in Russia to Russia as Russia is bombarding that country. The week that he told Donald Trump he would slow things down and proceeded that day to carry out over 1,000 different bombings in Ukraine, the rest of Ukraine's allies said, you know what? We're done with them. Go ahead. We don't care about the consequences because we understand what you're trying to do for the free world and what's pouring into Ukraine. And keep in mind, Hungary is now considering sending troops over to Russia through Belarus. Belarus is now considering staging into Ukraine as well. So there's something brewing, and there's something brewing because Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin could be playing that fucked up let's wait and see game, giving Russia an opportunity to rearm, to get a rest, to bombard while they bring more troops in and try and rally other troops, whether it be China, North Korea, Hungary, or any other friendly country like Belarus. So it's as serious as it gets, if you ask
And you
me.
know, there's something we could be doing right now. I mean, it's not going to be very hard to just get that bill, that Stop Russia bill that's sitting in the Senate with 80 co-sponsors. It'll get through without a problem, but he's being held back by Donald Trump. Well, if Donald Trump is so mad at Vladimir Putin, call Putin's bluff and get that bill passed today. You know, let's see if we can stop Russia in 2025. We don't have to wait another 2 weeks to understand what Putin is doing. We know what Putin is doing. Putin is stalling for time and causing a lot of death and damage to Ukraine, and continues to do so without any attention to human rights or humanity or any civilian deaths, and to the world's opinion of him and his illegal war. And we should see him to suffer. We should see that the war shut down, and we can do it. America can do it by joining our allies and passing this bill, the Stop Russia bill that Lindsey Graham has introduced, apparently. You know, but no one's voting on it. Why aren't they voting on it? And if the Republicans don't want to vote on it, why don't the Democrats try get it across the board? They can do it with just a couple of Republican senators. Someone in the Senate can get this bill with 80 co-sponsors across the wall, and we can actually get some action against this tyrant who's threatening World War III against America right now. I mean, this is not some, it's not hypothetical. That's exactly what Medvedev was saying. And we have the means to stop it, but we're going to wait another 2 weeks because things have changed? Is Putin going to be any different in 2 weeks? No.
No, no, and Putin has played Trump like a fiddle.
Yeah.
Every time he talks to him, and it was interesting because in my conversation with Lev, we were talking about how Putin has done this, and one of the things that came up, and I laughed when I think about it, that meeting in Turkey. You remember the meeting was supposed to happen in Turkey.
Yeah.
Zelensky's like, "I'll be there. I'm waiting for you. Let's talk. The free world. We're here. Let's talk." And he goes, "Okay, we'll come to Turkey." And then Putin said, "Oh yeah, we came to Turkey, but only for dinner, and then we went back."
Yeah.
Right. And that was a 2 week lead up to the idea that they might possibly. He is not interested in any kind of peace accord. He is not interested, Putin. He's not interested in a ceasefire. He is it's do or die for him. And that is the only thing he is interested in, is how can I punish the West? How can I punish the West? How can I punish Ukraine? How can I punish Lithuania? How can I punish Poland? How can I punish anybody who wants to stand in my way? Which is very Trump-esque, right? It is the authoritarian playbook 101.
His goal is to rebuild the Soviet Union. We know that. It's not undisclosed. We've known it for many years. He is doing it. He's in the process of doing it. He's had a fool in the White House that he helped install that has been giving him all this time and weakening his opponents in Ukraine by setting them up on several occasions and then not providing them arms. We can see what's happening. We're not blind to what's going on. And yet the bulk of American people, including 80% of the Senate, is interested in stopping Vladimir Putin. So we have the means to do it. We can impose these tariffs on any countries that are dealing with Russian oil. We can do that today. And we should be doing it. And people are pointing out, PJ Schuster is pointing out that we should call John Thune. Indeed, we should. And someone else gave the number to the U.S. Senate. I'm just going to say it out loud here, 202-224-3121. That's 202-224-3121. Call them. Call every single senator. Tell them there's no reason to wait for 2 weeks. Putin is obviously playing Trump. Let's get this legislation, which is so popular, so in the interest of America's national security. Let's get it across the line in the next 48 hours.
Well said. Well said. Let's do it. Let's stuff this right up Putin's arse.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know what they need more time. If they need more time, maybe they're waiting for the Golden Dome,
Oh yeah, that old Golden Dome.
They know America's going to be fine because they'll have the Golden Dome,
Golden Dome. Someone put out a funny video, one of those AI videos where they explained the Golden Dome was just billions of liters of MAGA urine that they were going to spray from urine cannons all over the United States.
The P bombs.
See, here's the thing. I wonder if Trump really tries to test Putin's resolve here.
Mhm.
If we do finally get the P tape. You know, it's
You
kind of,
know,
the part of it is like, there's lots to still be excited for here. I mean,
chances
we talk
of
about the dirge and the anger, but
yeah.
like, if the P tape comes out, I'll be like, all right,
Do
let
you
it
think?
go
Do you think
flat.
he even has a spine that can do anything like that? He would never stand up to Putin. He's totally beholden in every way.
I think the standing up to Putin stuff that we're seeing is largely performative, Zeb.
Yes,
Yes,
it's a
I
little
do.
theater. It's a little
Yes, it is.
stagecraft because
That's
we
not the
can do
guy I met. He's
yeah.
gone crazy.
That crazy guy. But I'll wait for 2 weeks before responding because we're so strong. MAGA is so strong. Great. This great American country can wait 2 weeks to respond to a major threat of World War III
Yeah.
against us. No problem. We can wait.
Yeah, because we're building the Golden Dome. It was
Yeah.
funny too because Xi's spokesperson was like, someone needs to tell Donald Trump that'll never happen.
So what's going to happen is, America's going to turn to Canada again to help them in whatever war they land up in because of Donald Trump. And Canada will have built up all this military and they will do, hopefully, what, well, I don't know what they will do. Actually, it's a good question, but I
Nothing.
can bet you, I can
Nothing.
bet you that's going to happen. Like, just see it. I see that.
Yeah.
Where we're
Well,
going.
it's like any friendship, right? Someone mistreats you, someone talks behind your back, someone shit talks you, and then they come around and go, "Hey, can you help me move?
Yeah.
I'm moving on Saturday." You're
Yeah.
like, conveniently, I have something going on that day, so I won't be helping you move, sir.
I have a rule about moving other people. It's generally,
Dude, it's not helping people move and tip culture, two conversations we need to really expound on because I feel very strongly anytime someone's like, "Hey, I got a U-Haul and I'll get a couple boxes of pizza.
No.
You want to
Don't
help
call
me?"
me.
I'm like, yeah, as lovely as that sounds, I am not a mover. I
Yeah.
apologize.
I can't do it. Can't do it. That is the FiveStack today. We'll be back again tomorrow. Everyone should check out Dean Blundell at substack.com. It's so good. It's so good to have you back. I just enjoyed reading all your stuff today. There's so much good stuff about Carney. There's good stuff about the throne. There's stuff about the Golden Dome. There's all sorts of really, really great stuff on the Dean Blundell Substack. So everyone should check it out. You can find my work at narrative.org, narrativ.org, where we're doing a lot of interesting stuff coming up soon. I haven't published it yet on Starlink and Elon Musk and the crazy, crazy capabilities that Starlink has and the amount of satellites that he's putting up in the orbit right now. The Starlink is a very terrifying thing. By the way, did you notice today that Elon Musk has signed a deal with Durov, the guy who founded Telegram, who's a Russian asset?
Yeah,
to
Grok
share
is the
Grok?
official. Yeah, Grok is now the official AI app or AI plugin for 1 billion Telegram folks, right? So yeah.
So all those people who said to me, all those, there's no ways Elon Musk is a Russian asset, and where am I getting all this information from, and how do I know that? I mean, just there you go. You can just see.
You can read.
You can, but I was one of the first to do that. So but now you got the proof right there. You got Durov and Musk united around Grok. It's ridiculous, but there it is. We'll be back tomorrow at 3:00 on another FiveStack. Nice to see you, Dean.
Nice to see you too, buddy. We'll see you all soon. Bye, everybody.
Cheers. Bye.